So first I started off by drawing a circle onto the foam and then cutting it out with my scissors. And by the way, I wasn't sure how big to make it exactly because I've never had the Whopper burger, so I'm just assuming it's about the same size as a regular burger or the burgers that I usually have. So yeah, it's about the size of my palm or my hand. But you can of course make yours whatever size you want. So I'm just assuming this is close to the actual size of the burger. And then what you want to do is you just want to keep trimming it around the sides, just making straight cuts all the way up with your scissors until you make a cylinder shape. And make sure that the bottom part is rounded as well. And then you just want to smooth and round off the top with your scissors just by making curved cuts like so. And also do that for the top bit as well. And then for the bottom bit, again, you just want to make curved cuts just around the edges of the burger like this. But make sure to leave the bottom part of the burger flat. So you just want the bottom part of the burger to just have a slight curve all the way around it, if that makes sense. And then what I did was, after I'd finished smoothing it off, you just want to draw some lines just going all the way around the burger, just like how I did here. And it doesn't have to be completely perfect. So you want to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. I had to count because I almost forgot. And make sure that these 3 lines or 4 lines here are a little bit closer to each other, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. So you can just see what I did here. So now on to the next step. So next what I did was I cut off all of the pen lines just using my scissors to create all of the ingredients that are in the burger. And I recommend looking at pictures or images of the Whopper burger for inspiration or as reference, which is what I'm doing. So then what you want to do for the top part right here, you just want to cut off random pieces just to create some texture to make it look like the lettuce. Hopefully you can see that. And then for the next 3 layers here, here and here, you just want to again just cut off the pen lines like I said. And then you just want to cut off random pieces to create separate parts to create the onion, the tomato and the pickles, or the gherkins. And then for the last bit, again, just cut off the pen lines all the way around to create the burger. And then just smooth that off with your scissors. And also, another thing I forgot to mention is you want to use a pretty big like thick piece of foam because the burger is very thick, so I recommend either using a thick piece of foam, or you can glue 2 pieces of foam or sponge together. I think this looks pretty good. So now we are ready to start painting it. So next what I did was I mixed white, yellow and a very tiny bit of burnt sienna paint together to create a light tan colour, and then you just want to paint the bottom and the top of the burger. And then you just want to really carefully just go over it with the burnt sienna paint, just to create some shading. And I just used a foam brush to do this, and just very lightly just brushed over it, just to create some very slight shading on the bun. And you also want to go around the sides of the bun as well, and do the same thing for the other side as well. So now on to the next step. Next what I did was I painted all of the filling inside the burger. So for the first bit I painted it a light green colour to create the lettuce, and then I used my red puffy paint for the tomatoes and my white puffy paint for the onions, and my dark green puffy paint for the pickles or the gherkins, and then I used my dark brown puffy paint for the burger, and then what I did was I decided to create the sauce just using my white puffy paint, and then I used my darker green puffy paint to add some darker tones to the lettuce, and then I also painted some lettuce coming out the sides as well. And then I just used my red puffy paint to create the tomatoes. So that way it isn't just one solid line, if that makes sense. And then I just used my red puffy paint to also create the sauce in between the gherkins or the pickles, whatever you want to call them. So basically just tried to do it the same way that I did. Hopefully I've explained it well enough. So you just want to do that for the whole burger. And by the way, you do not have to do it all in one go if you don't want to. You can paint like some of it separately and then wait for it to dry. And then just move on to painting the other parts if you want to. But I decided to paint mine all in one go. So now on to the next step. So next what I did was I painted on the sesame seeds on the top of the burger, just using my white puffy paint and also a very thin paintbrush. And you just want to paint them randomly over the whole top part of the burger. And I'm not sure if you can see, but I also painted some of the sesame seeds so that they look like they were touching each other. So as you can see, not all of them are separate. And I'm actually really happy with how the sesame seeds turned out because I didn't make them too big. So now you just want to let this dry and then we can move on to the next step. So once the squishy is dry, we can finally start making the packaging. And it's up to you what kind of packaging you want to make for yours. And I wasn't really sure at first what kind of packaging to make because I've only been to Burger King once and I don't really know, I can't really remember what their packaging is like. And also I couldn't really find that many good reference images on Google. But then I came across this design here. And this was made for Pride Month, I'm pretty sure. And I just really like this one because of the message and also because I love rainbows and bright colours. So I decided to make this one. So what I did was I just found an image of a rainbow stripe background on Google. And you want to make sure that it has 3 stripes: red, orange, yellow, green, blue and purple. And then you just want to place that on a Word document to make sure that it covers the whole thing, so that way it is A4 size. And then what I did was I just added a text box to each line separately. And then you want to use the same style of text that I used for the bag. So you want to use the text called Arial Black. And then you want to make sure that the size of the text is 72. And then you just want to type in the words "we are all the same" inside, and make sure that it lines up with each stripe and that it is in the center of the background. And this is going to be the back part of the packaging, by the way. So that's what that should look like. Now moving on to the front side. So now for the other side of the packaging, again what you want to do is you want to copy and paste a rainbow stripe background onto a separate page on your Word document. And again make sure it covers the whole thing. And then what you want to do is you want to go up to the corner of the screen and click Insert and Shapes. And then you just want to draw out a circle in the centre of the background and make sure that it is in the centre and that it is completely white. And then what you want to do is you want to go to Shapes again and you want to draw out a white ring going around that circle. And then I will just zoom in a little bit so that way you can see the text. So then what you want to do is you want to draw out a text box and you want to write the word "introducing" and make sure that it is in the style Bradley Hand ITC, which is this one right here. Sorry if it's a bit blurry. And then the size of this text is 24. And then you want to draw out another text box and write the words "the proud", and this style should be in Arial Black and the size should be roughly 42. It doesn't have to be the exact same number as mine or the exact same size. And then you want to draw out another text box, or you can use one that you already have, and you want to write out the word "Whopper", again in Arial Black style, and it should be roughly 48. And make sure that the colour of the text is all in brown. And then lastly what you want to do is you want to copy and paste a smaller image of the rainbow stripe image, and you just want to place that over the E like that. So that way it is covering the E. And also make sure that these words here are in capitals. And you also want to do that for the other side of the packaging as well. Just make sure that all the words are in capital letters. So that's what it should look like. And then once you've finished both sides of the packaging, we can finally print it out. So next what you want to do is you want to print out both sides of the packaging. And it is better if you can print it onto one sheet of paper, but I wasn't sure how to do that, so I just printed both pages out separately and then I just glued them together just using a glue stick. And then I just cut off all the white lines around the edges just using my scissors. And I'm really happy with how this turned out. And I did realise that when I printed out this side that the letters aren't completely centred, but that's fine. And here is the other side. And I think this looks pretty close to the actual packaging. I did look at an image for reference whilst I was making this. And also, by the way, you do not have to use Word document to create this. You can use something else if you want to, but Word document was really all I had. So you could probably use Photoshop or something else for this. Just whatever you feel comfortable with using. Or you don't even have to use your laptop or your computer. You can just draw it out by hand and then colour it in. If you find this too difficult. And also, I know it looks a little bit crumpled up. It's because I already placed this around the burger squishy just to see what it looked like. And it is a little bit small because it doesn't cover all of the burger squishy. But this is really the biggest I could make it. So it's not completely like the right size, but still I'm really happy with it. So now we can move on to the final step. So lastly, what you want to do is you just want to place the burger squishy inside the packaging. And again, like I said, I made the packaging a little bit too small, but again, this is really the biggest that I could make it. So it doesn't completely cover the whole burger squishy, but that's okay. And I really like how the packaging turned out. And again, it's up to you how you want to make the packaging. You do not have to make it on Word document like I did. You can make it on Photoshop, or you can draw it out by hand if you want to. And here is how the burger squishy turned out. And I'm really, really happy with this. And I think this looks pretty close to the actual Whopper burger. And again, you don't have to make this all one piece like I did. You can cut out all the pieces separately and then glue them together if you want to. But I just find this method just a little bit quicker and more easier in my opinion. And also, if you want to, you can also secure the packaging with some tape if you want to, but I still want to be able to take the burger squishy out of it, so I'm not going to add any tape to it. And this is really, really soft as well. I'm really happy with how this turned out. So now I'm just going to place it back inside the packaging, and now I can place it inside the bag which I made in my previous video. So, yep, that is it for part to. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and please stay tuned for the next part because I'm going to be making the chips or the fries next. So yeah, really hope you enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.